Okay. So it says recording in progress. So we're ready to go. Okay. So welcome back to everyone who's watching. And as a reminder, we're following Destiny's journey. By the way, I meant to tell you how much I love that you're sort of my first person and your name is Destiny. And this is you, if I didn't tell you already, you are like doing this is a next step in the thing that I want to ultimately create. And so I just really appreciate it.
That's so fitting.
Yeah, it is. It's so fitting. I love it. But I think this is going to be, what is this? Part 3 of your story, but part 4 that includes your reading that I'm going to post up there. So Destiny, for anyone who's just coming across this, Destiny was referred to me by her therapist because Destiny is curious about learning how her South Node and her North Node are influencing her or impacting some of the things that she has struggled with. And one of the things is, I think initially was just coming to kind of figure out career move or something. And it's kind of taken off a new, I mean, we're doing that. We're doing that, right? But there's more, right? There's more. So I'd welcome anyone to go back and go to the beginning, start with her reading, and then just see how her story has unfolded and is continuing to unfold. So thank you, Destiny. Let's have like a check-in. You and I have talked and you've decided what we're going to talk about, what we're not. Let's do a quick check-in for everyone. What has happened since our last session?
Right. So, like I was telling you earlier, that same day after our reading, I had gone to my mom's and we had a plan to clean our storage unit. It's been sitting there for like 10 years and we just need to get it all out so we don't have to pay for it anymore. And I basically was going through every single person's items and belongings that were like, that just brought up a lot of memories, and that really had me thinking about what came out in that reading about the way that people, I guess, influence my inner saboteur. And yeah, so I did a lot of thinking in the past week about how I've sabotaged myself based on the things that I experienced with those people. And it was pretty helpful. I'm definitely going to talk more about that in therapy, but
yes,
I did a lot of reflection.
Yeah. And, we talked earlier before we started recording that, those sort of realizations, they can be very upsetting, but also enlightening. And they can be real breakthroughs in a lot of ways.
That's how it felt. Like I suddenly had this clarity that I didn't really think I would have, and things started making more sense. And I was like, okay, so like now that I know this and I'm aware of this, I think I really am going to be able to move forward in ways that I wouldn't have otherwise. Like I think that if I hadn't have gone to help out with that storage unit stuff, that I wouldn't be as ready to move forward.
Wow, that's pretty profound. And I do want to follow up with this. We did discuss what we're going to talk about today and what in here, and then what you're actually not going to talk about and you're going to take into therapy, which is more appropriate. Okay. But last week we did explore the inner saboteur. And you said, I sabotage myself. I just want to remind you, and of course, that's the way we speak, but I want to remind you that your inner saboteur is a part. It's just one part of you, right? It's one part that's acting out stuff. when we ended the last session, and you learned more about your inner saboteur, how did you feel towards it throughout the week? Or even when you said, I was going through the storage unit and I was having more clarity on that.
I was a lot more compassionate towards that part of myself than I was angry. Like, in the past, I've been more angry with that part of myself because, it's stopping me from doing things. But I had like a lot more understanding of why, because that's what we asked the cards, like, why are you doing this? Like, why, what are you trying to show me? And so I was a lot more compassionate when those kind of things came up over the past week.
Wow, that's really wonderful. That really is wonderful. Okay. Did the saboteur show up at all for you, or try to at all over this last week? And what did you do?
I think it did, and I didn't really do too much with it because I was still just trying to figure out how to process all of these things that I've been going through. But I wasn't even so, like, I wasn't mad at it. Like, I didn't go to work this past week, and maybe I should have or could have, and it could have been the saboteur doing that. But I don't know. I'm not too upset because I still know that I'm gonna get things on track. Like I'm moving into position to be able to shoot forward.
Okay. Yes. And you just want to keep dialoguing, and maybe even doing that with your therapist, right?
Yes.
More of that in. And I will make a suggestion to you about like a workbook that you might want to explore, to help you connect with maybe other parts that are operating in your life, as well as the inner saboteur. Okay. So, anything else you want to report, like in terms of using your intuition? We've talked about your South Node is more logic driven. Your North Node is really all about trusting your intuition. And so that's part of why we're so heavy in doing your intuitive stuff.
Right.
So where did that come up for you? Where were you able to practice using your intuition rather than overthinking, if you were?
So there's I've been like, I'm a child of the internet. So like I've been talking to new people on the internet and in the community that I write in. And there's been a handful of times where somebody else has started talking to me, and like my intuition has told me, like, I don't think their intentions are very pure, or like I think that this is what they're after. And that wasn't, I could tell it wasn't overthinking. Like it was just, I just knew that I didn't really need to continue to talk to them. So I had to put up some boundaries there, and rather than try and like change their mind, or like continue to talk to them to see if my intuition was wrong, I was like, no, I know my intuition is telling me this for a reason. I'm just going to cut it off right here and make better friends, because they don't seem to be very good people.
Wow. Okay. So what was that like for you to say, I'm going to trust my intuition, I'm not going to do what I've done before?
It was pretty empowering. Like it feels nice to know your boundaries and like enforce them and be like, no, I'm not gonna be this person that you're trying to make me out to be, because I know who I am.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really empowering.
Fight with you. Don't have to argue with you, right?
Yeah.
Empowering. That's awesome. Okay. Do you know how, are you aware of how you feel like in your body when you're overthinking something as opposed to having an intuitive knowing?
So I think we talked a little bit about that last time, and I had said that it felt like my heart hurt or whatever, like my heart was breaking and I was gonna cry. But
Yeah.
I think like analyzing it over the past week. When I am anxious, my heart starts to race. And when it's intuition, it doesn't. Like, it's just kind of a thing. Like, it's a very calm thing. Like,
It's a very calm
it's
thing.
just a calm message. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay. All right. And where does that calmness sit in your body? If you know, you might not know.
I don't know yet. I definitely want to like pay attention to that moving forward and see if I can figure out where that is. But so far, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. And it could just be an overall sense of, calm, quiet, just a real sense of knowing. I repeat myself, but yes, just an overall sense of calm. But I will encourage you to, again, this might be something that we do on another, in another session. Try to connect with the intuitive part of you, right? The knowing part, and see where that sits. And you could also do some work with your therapist in connecting with that. Okay, so what we're going to do today, we discussed, is we're going to look at your some players in your narrative. Okay, so we all have a narrative. We all have a story that we tell ourselves about our journey. Okay, and there are different players in our journey or our drama. You and I decided, because of this, what happened in the storage unit, that we're going to leave out actual people.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're going to explore more of the players that are more conceptual, or they were experiences that you've had, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I also told you that I'm going to let you use your intuition to decide which deck we're going to use. Okay?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to put this down, and I want you to just take, it might be very immediate for you, but try to sense that inner knowing, not to overthink it. Which one, I always say, which one is kind of poking your eye out and say, or which one is standing out to you? Which one does it feel like, I keep arguing with myself about that one, but when I keep looking back over here, I'm kind of calm. Okay, so get my water out of the way.
I think it's pretty immediate for me. I'm going to go with the top one.
The top one. Which one is the top one?
Oh, yeah, that one right there.
Okay.
You're pointing to.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. We'll use the others as clarifiers. Okay. If we need to. I need to rearrange my stuff over here. My throat is kind of froggy, so I wanted to have my water really close.
If you have some warm tea with honey.
I should have thought about that instead of cold water, but there you go.
Oh, it works.
Okay. Okay. So we decided that we're going to, in my pen now. Here it is. We're going to explore the story related to loss, the story related to mistakes, the story related to successes, the story related to logic, okay, or overthinking, the story related to intuition, and the story related to, if you want, I don't know if I asked you this, but the story related to destiny. Okay.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right. We'll see how much time that we have and get started here.
All right.
All right. So I did take some time to shuffle the decks and set my intentions that your higher, wiser self is going to be present here, but I just want you to set your intention right now, okay? And that you will allow your higher, wiser self to be present. As we explore your narrative. Okay. So that everybody can see here. So the first card that we draw is going to be what I tell myself or have told myself about loss. And these characters I chose specifically because they are based in your North and South Node nodal axis. Okay, these are themes that are important. Okay.
Okay.
So go ahead and tell me. This first card is what I tell myself or have told myself about loss. Okay.
Stop.
Ooh, yeah, two come out. Oh my word. Destiny.
That it's heartbreaking. Got so many swords through the heart.
Wow. That it's heartbreaking. So
Yeah.
This almost feels like no duh, right?
Right. Of course it's heartbreaking.
Of course it's heartbreaking. So do you want to elaborate a little bit on that? Or should we move on to what's another way to look at it or to think about loss?
Like elaborate on like what comes up when I think of loss.
Well, about getting this card, it's heartbreaking. So how does that resonate for you in terms of, what you've told yourself about loss, about how you've experienced loss?
I don't know, it's really hard to process loss. Like I've kind of struggled with having a positive message for loss, and it's mostly people, like losing people that, that I've experienced, not so much like material things, but um yeah, it's really hard to lose people, like whether they've died or
Yes.
they're just people that came into your life and then left without any explanation. It's just kind of a hard thing to process.
It is.
Like what's the reason for this?
Uh-huh. Well, that's really interesting. Let's pull a card to see what might be another way to
To look at it.
about it, another way to tell the story. And again, as a reminder, I don't know if this is a reminder or not. Maybe I'll just tell you for the first time. For me, it's really important that we're able to resist a need to do an either or thing and to embrace the and. Loss is painful and heartbreaking and, okay? So you don't have to say, well, I lost this thing or this person, and I'm going to tell myself something more butterflies and rainbows about it. No. Okay. That's not the point. All right. So let's put that one back in. Okay. So what might be another way? To look at our experience loss.
Stop.
Ooh, okay. Oh, Destiny, I have no poker face. I'm always gonna have a reaction. What do you see
I
there?
don't really know what I make of that. I mean, that looks like an old wizard. He's holding up a light like he's looking for something.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a big old beard.
Yeah, he does. What do you think about that? An old wizard with a light. What comes up for you? What do you think of?
I think of like keeping the magic alive, like, looking out at those memories of people that I've lost and just keeping them in my heart kind of in a way.
Okay, yeah, keeping them in your heart in a way. I will tell you that a little bit more about this card. And again, you and I talked about earlier that we're doing this as a practice with your intuition. However, you can take this concept and further journal, or even take it into therapy, and uh, 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 keep working on your narrative. But in terms
Right.
of this card, the Hermit card, this is the Hermit card. And it's from the Major Arcana. This energy is seeking wisdom, is seeking certain type of knowledge and understanding, and decides, I want to go figure out what this is what I say all the time is I want to figure out why good things happen to bad people and bad things happen to good people. I'm going to go up to the mountaintop and I'm going to think about my journey and make meaning out of it. And then when I'm ready, the star here is the wisdom gained. I'm going to take it back down the mountaintop and I'm going to use it as a guide for myself, but also for others.
Right.
It's funny because you got that wisdom card,
In the
right?
last reading, yeah.
Yeah, you got the wisdom card in the last reading. So definitely, again, I'm going to send you pictures, but I just wanted to give you a little bit more of the history and the background of this particular card. Okay.
Right.
Yours is
That card comes up a lot for me in readings.
does it?
It's funny because my therapist's business name is Hermit Counseling, and I'm a part of a Minecraft community called Hermit. It's called the Hermit Craft.
You are kidding me.
No, yeah. So
That's
like that
interesting.
name and that card comes up a lot. So much like even in just personal readings, just it's always popping out.
Well, and then you got the wisdom card. Yeah. I mean, this is big. This is huge for you. Now, the Hermit card is related to Virgo. So I don't know. Do you have any Virgo in your chart that you know of?
Virgo rising.
Your Virgo rising?
Mm-hmm. Sagittarius moon too. So it's like I got the Sagittarius from the North Node.
Wow. Okay. I don't know if you can see, but I got goosebumps. And I know I've looked up your chart. I just didn't remember.
Make the connection, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And guess who else is a Virgo, Destiny? Did you? I think you froze. Let me see if you're.
Uh-oh, froze.
Yeah, you froze, but can you we can hear each other though, right? Okay. We might have to.
Yeah, I can hear you. It's just I can't see you.
You can't see me now? Oh, there we are. Okay.
Oh, I think you started moving again.
Okay. How are we doing now?
Oh, We're good. We're good.
Okay. Okay. Guess who else is a Virgo?
I don't know. You? You're a Virgo? That makes so much sense. It's funny because my best friend in the world is a Virgo. And
Really?
yeah, I just met somebody online that we've been talking a lot, and they're like, "Oh, I'm a Virgo," and I'm like, "These Virgos, they're popping up for me lately."
Isn't that funny? That's awesome.
Hmm.
Okay. So Virgo's your rising sign. Interesting. All right. Okay, so Destiny, let's go to, let me just jot down your card. Well, I can do this later. I'll just keep them there. Okay, let's look at mistakes as a player in your drama and the story that you tell yourself about mistakes. Okay.
Stop. Oh, that's the overthinking part, isn't it? Was
Yeah.
that the Nine of Swords?
Mm-hmm.
See somebody crying and just like everything hanging over them, like
Yeah.
got the weight of the world on their shoulders.
Mm-hmm. How do you relate to that?
I mean, that's everything that holds me back right there. Like really just overthinking about everything.
Lots of anxiety and fear.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So much.
So much. Yes. Not to spend too much time on this, okay? Because this is, one way that you have thought about mistakes. And you've already talked about this in past,
Right.
but you
I
relate,
think like
this is you. Awesome.
yeah, I
This,
think it like applies in two ways. Like, there's the mistakes as far as me overthinking that I don't want to make mistakes. But then I
Mhm.
also think that I've made mistakes because I've overthought it, overthought things instead of just trusting my intuition. Like I overthink things way too much to where like I'm drowning out what my intuition is trying to tell me, and then I end up making a mistake because of it.
Uh-huh. That's exactly right. And that's right. I mean, that is right out of this astrology for the soul book in terms of what happens
Hmm.
as of that Gemini South Node. And of course, we know you're trying to stay safe and you're trying to do the right thing.
Right.
However, as you learn to trust your North Node, once I'm sorry, your intuition, um, it's almost like you're going to be rewarded in some way, even if you have to course correct, even if it's not quite
Hmm.
what you thought it was going to be. But you're right. This is going to keep you stuck because it's just a loop, loop, loop.
Vicious cycle.
Yes. Wow, this is getting really interesting to look at on the
Getting real.
getting real, real. Okay, so let's see what is another way to look at mistakes.
Stop.
Ooh, all right.
Hmm.
Can you describe him to me?
He is holding like an orb and looking forward.
He's looking forward. Yes. What's he holding?
Is it like an orb or like a
Yeah, like a little earth, like a little.
oh, okay, a globe, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got, I don't know if he's holding the other staff or if it's behind him.
Mhm.
It's kind of hard.
Behind him in one. Mhm.
And it looks like he's about to get ready to ascend because he's moving up some steps. Yeah, so that's what I see.
Yeah. So what comes up for you when you see that?
Well, he's got the world in his hands. Like he has so many options of things.
Mhm.
A lot of promise, I guess.
Okay. Yeah. So as it pertains to making mistakes and thinking of maybe there's another way to look at mistakes in my drama, right?
Right? Like maybe their learning experiences less than they were mistakes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Taught me something new about myself that I didn't know before that I can use as I encounter new situations.
Yes. Okay. How does that feel to say that? And maybe you have had those thoughts before, but
I've had those thoughts a couple of times before, but man, I mean, that feels like there's a lot less pressure, like when you think of it that way. Like this mistake or these mistakes that I've made are the end of the world, like they're really the beginning of the world.
oh, Destiny, that's beautiful. Yeah. Not the end of the world, but the beginning. It's like or when I see this card, I see the word that comes to me is expansion. It expands
Mhm.
my life, my reach, my destiny, even.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not, it's nice to think about it that way instead of
Mm-hmm.
like being sad about mistakes.
Mm-hmm. It is. Okay. So beautiful. All right. Down here. Okay, the next one that we're going to look at is success. Okay.
Stop.
I'm just having a memory of you discussing, I think it was discussing success and fear of, right? But that's not necessarily this, but it just popped in my head. Okay. From maybe our first session together.
Yeah. It does look like he's running away from the cups. He's got his back turned to us.
Mhm. So what comes up for you when you think about that? Do you remember what cups are?
Not exactly like I kind
They're
of
more
have
emotions. Okay.
emotion.
Cups are water element and emotions. Okay.
Mhm.
So how do you relate to that? Looks like he's
Yeah. He's
running.
got his back turned. I don't know. Success is scary.
Mm,
Success is very scary.
okay. Because
It's, I think, this, what we had talked about is that when you're successful, you have further to fall. Like when you're so high up, you can make bigger mistakes. You can lose it all. And I don't want to lose my success.
mm,
But then at the same time, like if I don't go after it, I never really know whether or not I could achieve it in the first place.
mhm.
Um, yeah.
I think I you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong. But you did say that, and I also think you said something about maybe even losing people that losing friends, losing people that you care about or that you thought cared about you if you become successful.
Yeah, because they might not agree with what I'm doing, or like I would have to defend myself against like what I'm going after. And I
Mhm.
definitely, within these past couple of weeks, I've been being vocal to my family about how I don't want to do something traditional in work. Like I want to pursue more of an art thing,
Mhm.
and they do kind of battle me on that. And I don't think that I will lose my family. Like they're always going to care about me. But I do know, like in my past, when I was really successful in high school, a lot of people shunned me, and I don't know if that was out of jealousy. Probably was out of jealousy,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's just kind of hard to deal with people reacting that way. It's like,
Mhm.
what did I do to you? I'm just trying to live my life.
Just, yeah, living the best life. I think we, like we all are. Um,
Yeah.
so that's an interesting way to look at this card as it pertains to your, success and how that's shown up in your life and the story that you told yourself about it. Let's see if we can. Let's get another card for maybe a new way or
Yeah.
another way to look at success. Okay.
So kind of hard to see that one.
Okay. Let me just kind of describe the scene and then maybe that'll help your eyes to see what you're seeing. There's a figure in the foreground here who has three swords. Okay. And he's looking back over his shoulder at two other figures that are in the background that are kind of uh, moving away from him. And their two swords are on the ground at the foreground's feet. The, the person furthest away and closest to the water has
Mm.
hands in their head in their hands. Okay. So it's five of swords. Are you able to see the images?
Yeah, yeah, I'm able to see it better now.
Okay.
Well, it kind of seems like those people have dropped their swords and they're walking away.
Mm,
So like they've left it for the guy in the foreground. Now he has all these swords because they decided to walk away.
mm. So what do you think about that in terms of a new way to think about success, in terms of your story and your narrative?
Right. Like in terms of being afraid to lose people because of success, like this card would, it kind of tells me that it's really their loss. Like if they don't believe in me, and if they, don't want to stick around, like I'm not losing anything from them from them walking away.
Uh-huh.
I still have my successes, even if
You
it
still,
doesn't work out perfectly.
uh-huh. Okay. Interesting. I kind of thought you were going to go. And yes, what you just said is right on. But it's interesting because I thought, well, you don't have to fight. Like go get your go be successful and do what you need to do and throw the sword down and you can just stand the other people can just stand there and believe that they're you know right, but
Right.
they're the loser
Yeah, but I don't have to fight to
going.
convince them. Like I've got what I've got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
True.
So really interesting card for this. Okay.
Curious. You said that was the five of
It's
swords?
the five of swords. Yeah.
Huh.
Not a these two cards are very intriguing to me um for this and then how you interpreted them really lovely. Okay. Just check on time. Okay. So now
You're doing pretty good.
I think we are too. Let's look at, all right, logic and thinking. Okay.
Oh,
Kind of already
culprit.
discussed it. Yeah. Our little South Node. All right. So let's look at the narrative here around logic or thinking. Hmm. Okay.
Hmm.
What do you see?
It looks kind of like he's got some sort of shadow or figure behind him. Don't think that's what that is, but that's what it looks like to me. He's got this thing behind him.
Yeah, that's interesting. It is part of his garb. His, they wear all those fancy clothes. I don't know exactly what that is. It's like a long blue scarf. Okay. There's just
Yeah.
a lot of blue and water. He's holding a cup with a fish jumping out of it.
That's cute.
Yeah. Yeah, it is cute. This is the page of cups.
Looks like he's about to trip over that thing that he's like his outfit because it's underneath his foot, like he could slip.
That's really interesting. Yes. Wow. What a great observation. So
Yeah.
what do you think this could be in terms of thinking, logic?
I mean, in terms of thinking, I guess it can kind of hold you back sometimes. Like it can cause you to slip and fall in some ways if you don't know how to, you know, accept what you're kind of being told and then just take it and move on. Like if you kind of dwell on it too much, it's not going to be helpful.
Okay. And let's apply that, or tell me how that resonates for you in your own life.
I mean, we already know that I'm an overthinker. Like I'm a worrier for sure.
Mhm.
I don't know. I think sometimes I ignore logic too. Like he doesn't realize he's standing on that on that piece of cloth. So he's
Mm.
kind of ignoring something or not recognizing it.
Mhm.
Um, which I do also. Like I can have a thought and like I'll know like the logical explanation for it, but then I just get kind of lost in my emotions and I forget that that logic thing is true, that the emotions aren't true.
Okay, yeah. So for you, there's a real balancing act here. You
Hmm.
need to balance between over emotional, over logic, and
Hmm.
to some sort of a middle,
Middle ground.
yeah, that wise mind, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with those terms, but the middle way, right, which would also, truth be told, from your South Node in Gemini, when you are, let's say okay. So from South Node and Gemini, Geminis are thinkers, and they are um, able to think of all of the possible scenarios, and all the different ways things can go and work and be. But for you, that's in your South Node, and your North
Hmm.
wants you to be more trusting of your intuition. And
Right.
once you trust your intuition, then you apply logic to, okay, so now how do I create a practical plan to make it happen?
Right.
Rather than figuring out the outcome or trying to figure out the outcome before you take action, right?
Right. You have to figure out the
Argue
in-between
yourself.
steps.
Yeah. You're so knowledgeable in terms of all of the things in different ways that something could turn out that you can get stuck in that loop, right? And now that I know you're Virgo rising, yeah. So you can get
Perfectionism.
yes, and analysis paralysis, right? So
Absolutely.
so what you said really makes a lot of sense here. We really want to try to stay one with the middle way, but also to understand how overthinking or arguing with yourself can get you stuck or trip you up. Okay. All right.
I'm learning.
Yeah, learning. Okay. And the page is a learner, is a student. It's a young energy, okay? And it's playful, also maybe a little romanticized and idealized here, okay? All right. Now, what might be another way to think about logic? Let me start over. Another way to think about thinking or logic. 4 of Cups.
Oh, he looks very calm, like he's just relaxing under the tree,
Mm-hmm.
looking at, what's ahead of him.
Mm-hmm. He's looking
What is that other
3.
cup doing?
Yeah.
There's 3 in front of him, but what is the other cup?
It's coming from, we'll say it's a new opportunity. And it's kind of coming from life or from spirit. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So he's leaning up against the tree and staring at the 3 cups that are sitting in front of him, not noticing the 4th one.
Yeah. Spirit's trying to give him this new cup and he's too busy looking at the other 3. So like that kind of directly relates to the logic of listening to your intuition, like pay attention to that other cup there because it's there for a reason.
Maybe not getting so focused on these, the things that you've already experienced or thought you wanted, or
that you close yourself off to new things that are showing up. Because like if you looked up from what's down, like there's a whole world around him.
Yes. Yeah. The whole new potential opportunity here for something that feels good. It's emotion stuff. So yeah. Another 2 cards that are really interesting for that. I wouldn't have expected to come up. Okay.
A lot of cups.
A lot of cups. Yeah. Well, like you said, I mean, isn't that what we're all trying to do, is create a life that we feel good about, that feel happy, contented, joyful, fulfilled? Okay. And if we're not able to move forward in that direction, it can make us feel anxious and then, sometimes move into depression.
Yeah, because when you're stagnant like that, joy doesn't happen in
No.
fact.
Mhm. Okay. Now let's look at intuition. So intuition as part of your narrative. Let's look at how you have thought of it, or do you think?
Stop.
Oh boy. Okay, I'm gonna just go with the one with my fingernails on. Oh. Having a little debate with myself over here when some of these other cards want to kind of come out. I'm like, ugh.
You're right. Like, should I take
A reading?
those?
I'll tell you, if I was doing a reading, there have been a couple of cards that I would have gone ahead and taken as well. But because we're doing this and want to keep it pretty clean, I'm
Right.
take one card at a time. All right.
Oh, it's very shiny.
It is very shiny. That's a ginormous pentacle or a coin.
Right, a big old coin. So many rays
Mm-hmm.
shining off of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's very obvious. Like, and in terms of intuition, for me, I know when my intuition is speaking a lot of the times. Like, it's not easy to ignore, or I guess it's easy to ignore for me, but it's not easy to it's easy to recognize that it's there. Like, those messages come through to me very clearly. What I do with them is a different story.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's really like right from spirit, right? And so,
Mhm.
you know, what you do with them is a different story. So, um, how has intuition shown up along in your life? It comes up very clearly. You know it. It's very tangible in a lot of ways, right?
Mhm.
What has been the outcome, maybe when you have listened to your intuition? Curious along the journey.
Very early in my life, listening to my intuition got me in trouble. Not because there was a consequence from it, but because maybe like my parents didn't agree with it, or like I would be vocal and speak out against something
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't follow with what they wanted or what they thought, so they shut it down.
Okay.
So very early on, my intuition just caused complications and arguments. Um, but as an adult, like, when I have listened to my intuition, it normally saves me a lot of trouble. Like, it gets me in a place that I need to be.
Yeah.
I just, sometimes I go back to that. Well, if I ignore this, maybe it won't cause more complications because I'm used to that from childhood. But
Mm-hmm. That's
I do know
I
that when
just
I listen to it.
yeah. Okay. Okay. So that makes sense then, that, based on the way other people would respond to you speaking out or trying to express what you intuitively knew, um, they weren't accepting, and it was painful. So you
Hmm.
sort of started to really try to overthink, but then you would get into an argument with yourself, right?
Yep.
Perfect sense if that's what you do now, and you're trying to get back.
Stop that argument.
Yeah, stop the argument. Okay. So what might be, it's interesting. So what might be another way to think about your intuition? Oops.
Stop.
Ooh. Okay. I'm going to tell you what these are. This is 8 of Wands. Okay. So the whole entire picture is 8 wands, which represents life force, fire energy, also spirituality. Just think of life force, 8 of them flying through the air, and there's little butterflies around there, flying around as well. Okay, might be a little bit. Yeah.
Butterflies. Butterflies pop up a lot.
What do they mean to you?
I guess they're kind of like a symbol of hope. And they're just beautiful.
And they're just beautiful. Okay, a symbol of hope. So another way to think of your intuition, as you see these wands flying through the air with butterflies, for you, a symbol of hope.
Yeah, a symbol of hope, and like those wands are flying through the air as they were intended. Like they could have just clattered to the ground immediately, but they're soaring. So
they're soaring. So could that be
there, and I got to pay attention to them.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So they're there, and you got to pay attention to them. What's the sense? Like, what's the energy that you get from this card?
I don't know. That one's difficult. It's difficult for me to get a sense of that card.
Let me ask you this. If you were a little bug, or even let's just say you were a little fairy riding on one of those wands, how do you think you would feel? What would be the sensation?
Would probably feel exhilarated.
Yeah.
You'd be flying through the air.
Flying through the air with the greatest of ease. Our little aerial artist, right? So
and my username everywhere is just Blue Fairy.
It is?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can't even believe I never talk about fairies. That's weird that just came to my So yeah, it would feel exhilarating. So what might be your new narrative, or another narrative for using, or for intuition in your, as a player in your drama?
Would be that it feels good to listen to your intuition and see that it played out, the way that you kind of knew it would, as opposed to ignoring it because you're afraid of listening to it.
Yeah. Wow, that's really wonderful. Very strong cards there as it relates to intuition, which is the whole point of your North, as just what I want to say, like your it's movement in that direction, right? Very okay. Okay, and the final card. Wow, we're almost in very perfect timing here. The final card, we're going to look at the narrative, the story that you tell about you. Okay, this is about yourself.
I'm curious what card's going to come up.
I am too. Okay.
Stop.
Okay. This is a big one.
Oh no.
Okay.
Which one is that?
That is the Hierophant.
Oh. Man, that figure looks very important. Like everyone's looking up to them.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense because I being the oldest of 5 siblings and feeling like I don't know, everyone's depending on me.
Mhm.
Feel like it's like up to me to carry our family forward in some ways.
Hmm. That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
And I know my mom lives vicariously through me, or she tries to. And,
Mm.
lately I'm like, that's not going to happen. You live
Uh-huh.
your life.
Uh-huh. Okay, very good.
But it does feel that way. Like my whole life, I felt like I'm there for everybody else. People are relying on me to do things the right way and be perfect. And
Mm.
I don't know, break generational curses.
Yeah, yeah, right. And you can, right? You
Mhm,
can be changing legacies, generational um, wounding messages,
mhm.
systems, all of that. As much as you learned something, you can break that and teach something new.
Right.
So, wow, that's a really fascinating interpretation there. Okay, so what? Let me just ask you: do you have any uh, Taurians in your life or in your own chart? Taurus.
In my chart, I don't think I have any Taurus in my chart. I do have a Taurus in my life. My last romantic partner was a Taurus,
Last one.
and I did kind of feel like a lot of pressure was on me there. Um, I mean, I guess it's kind of personal, but he had the mother of his baby passed away, and so like when I entered his life, I felt like I had to help him through that and
Mm.
help his daughter through that too. So
Which was old belief systems then, really.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so the final card, Destiny, is what might be another way to tell the story of Destiny in your narrative. Okay.
Mhm.
All right, here we go. Trust
Okay,
your intuition.
stop.
Ooh, right. All right. You've got the Knight of Swords.
Haven't we gotten this card before?
I think it was last time.
Ah, he is. I think I said the same thing. He's charging ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I guess what that would say to me is like forging, he's forging his own path. Um, he's leaping as well because that horse is like in the middle of the air. He's kind of like jumping
Oh,
over things.
yeah. There is nothing slow or uncertain about this energy. This energy just goes for it. And it's like, this is my truth. This is what I want. This is where I'm going. There's definitely not a 1 ounce of overthinking
Right.
in this energy. So I
And
don't,
in terms of me, like that would be like, well, I'm a little bit of a wild child. I'm gonna I'm gonna go straight ahead for what I believe and what I want.
mm. What do you think about that being a little bit of a wild child?
I like it. Like it's funny because I went to Cracker Barrel with my family, and my baby cousin was sitting next to me, and I was goofing off with him. He's like 6 or 7, I can't remember. And he looks at me and he goes, "You're weird," and I'm like, "Yes, I am weird, and I love it. I wouldn't change a thing."
That's right. Oh, that's so great. great little moment for you to take back your weird. Love it.
Yes.
Destiny, this was such a great, lovely session, I felt. And I don't know, how did you feel?
Yeah, that was a good one. Like it's not as heavy as the last one. Like
Mhm.
the last one got me in the feels, but
Did it?
this
Yeah.
one is nice. It
Mhm.
helped me see things definitely in a different way.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that because that's exactly what I was hoping. And also, I just want to encourage you that to now take the other players and spend time journaling. I would like to hear a little bit, just whatever you feel comfortable with. And again, we'll talk a little bit before we do a recording.
Mhm.
Make sure that we're holding making sure you're safe. And but I would be curious if you can take this exercise and journal or write about, or even take some time in therapy to discuss these other actual physical human beings in your narrative, and how I've thought about them, what I tell myself, and maybe what is another way to
Yeah, maybe I'll I mean I've got 12 tarot decks over here. Maybe I'll pick one myself
okay.
and do this same thing for me for those physical people.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. So yeah, let's do that for next time. And then I don't know if it's a full moon today. So I thought
Oh, I didn't know
I'd
that.
kind of close out your session today and let you pick a moon card from the Moonology deck. Okay. Do a final message. Make sure I get these spaced out really good. Okay. Back up a little. All right.
Stop.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Your dreams need a practical plan.
Oh, you moon. Is that a Taurus?
It's a full moon in Taurus card.
Oh,
Your dreams need a practical plan. So remember when we said it's like the middle way?
mhm.
For you, it's really important that you follow your intuition and your inklings, and then you pull in your logic to create the plan,
Right.
how everything's going to work out, or if it's going to be a mistake, or it's right or wrong. It's I have this feeling about, I have this inner knowing about. Okay, so I need to go. Let's, as an example, I feel called to be a tattoo artist. Okay, I could sit here and overthink about all the things that people are going to say, and it's not what they want, and it's the wrong thing to do, blah blah blah. Or I can say, I feel called to be a tattoo artist. Now, how will I make that happen? I come up with the practical plan. That's where I use my logic. Okay.
Right.
Let me read to you full moon in Taurus. Sometimes you need to weave a bit of magic, and sometimes you need to be practical. And sometimes you need to find a combination of the two. This card suggests that this is where you are now. You need to use the laws of attraction to draw in what you want by imagining it, expecting it, welcoming it. But you need to balance that with taking down to earth steps towards your goals. This isn't about wishing on the moon and hoping for the best. It's about making something like a list of bullet points. about to achieve your dreams. If you're asking about money, this card heralds a change of financial fortunes depending on both your past actions and what you're expecting and therefore attracting. Attune to the moon. Write down 10 things that you know are wonderful about you. So let's add that.
Well, I'm going to do that exercise.
Yeah, let's add that. Awesome. The teaching, the full moon in Taurus is a time to get back to earth, to get grounded, to work through any negative feelings you've been dealing with, and to find balance between being passionate and being overly intense. Kind of what you said, like your emotions can get away with you. You've got to get to the middle. Money can come to a head at the time of the full moon in Taurus, but you can take this card as a sign to pay more attention to your cash flow no matter when you draw it. Wow. How cool is that? Okay. Thank you, Destiny.
Thank you.
And following up next week with you. I hope you have a good session. Okay.
I'm excited.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.